Welcome to Soul Sisteries. Hey everyone. So this is the Sisters of Soul Sisteries, and we're talking again about connections. And, we've had people ask us, like, how do you do it? How do you do this thing? How do you make those connections? We're talking about these spiritual connections, these energy connections. Now, you know what? Let's talk about the practical things you do to make it real. It's a real thing. This is not woo-woo magic, Harry Potter world. I mean, it is magic, but it's not magic. You know what we're saying? The connections. How do you do it? So we wanted to talk about in connections today. We want to talk about
grounding. And I think the first thing I want to say is just everything we're going to say right now is kind of our experience and what we found has worked for us or those around us that have practiced some of these things. Just because we say it doesn't mean it's going to be the right thing for you. But what I found in my journey is that it's very valuable to experience different things to see what works best.
Yeah, absolutely. And staying open to those things. But as Di says, exactly, your path is your path. Your journey is your journey. What's right for you is right for you. We are never, ever, ever telling you what to do or suggesting that we are masters in any way. This is what we do. This is what works for us. You follow your own path and all is well.
Yes.
We know that's true, right?
Yeah.
So when we're talking about grounding, we were just sitting here talking about, well, what does that mean? Because we had different ideas about what that means. And of course, we also have had different experiences in this journey and how we go about it. So I wanted to start with, if you are interested in expanding your own consciousness and your own conscious connections energetically with those in spirit, with spirit world, with guides, with you name it how you see it. I don't want to give you all the words. I find that the best way to begin is to ground yourself before you do anything. And to ground yourself is to establish all of your energy and all of your being here in this space, in this time, in this world. And so one of the things that I do in order to do that is to energetically visualize roots extending from the base of my feet as my feet touch the ground, extending deep into Mother Earth, deep, 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 wrapping around rock or something deep within the soil, and then pulling energy up through those roots, straight up into me, all the way through my being, and opening at my crown as I pull that energy and use that energetic field to anchor me to this time and place. Yeah. That's one thing I do. What do you do, sis?
And so I will say that I have had experience with that also. Early in my journey, I had the opportunity to work with an amazing medium who kind of mentored me and did some teaching while I was developing. And one of the things that she had me do that I actually still use sometimes was to envision the white light coming down and surrounding me. And you talked about putting your feet in the ground. And what I found is my feet are rarely on the ground when I am meditating or connecting. I sit with my legs crossed, kind of like on my chair. So when somebody would say, oh, imagine the roots. And I thought, but my feet aren't on the ground. So instead I envision this white light surrounding me, kind of like an egg, and I'm sitting in the middle of it. And I actually imagine zipping up this white light. So I'm totally enclosed in this white light, which just kind of like settles me in my space. And you said, Donna, being present here in the physical space. And I think the important thing is, like, because I was thinking like, oh, just in this world, in this dimension, but it truly is grounding yourself in the space that you're in.
Yeah.
Whether it's sitting on your bed, sitting on a chair, sitting on the floor, sitting under a tree, whatever it is, but really grounding and holding yourself in that space before you start the expansion and trying to connect in any way.
Yeah, because that was a really scary place for me as I really started to do this work consciously, I should say, because as I've shared before in this podcast, if you've heard, I've talked about how I've always had these connections. I've always seen people. I've heard from people. I was aware always. But I was in a lot of fear too, because I didn't understand all of it. And I had certain beliefs about evil and darkness at that time, which I no longer hold. Any of that has no part of my world anymore, but I did for many years as a little one. And I was open all the time and connecting with energy all over the place and taking on people's stuff left, right, and center. This was a very, very heavy place to be in. But then a lot of time and experience went by. I learned better management of that energy field. And then I started getting conscious about doing this work. And when I started getting conscious about doing this work, I could feel I was at big risk of completely untethering, of completely disconnecting from my physical being and going up and out and beyond and bye-bye. And I got really worried that that was going to happen. I have a living child here whom I need to be around here for a great while longer for him. And like, I got to stay here. I can't come untethered. So this grounding was literally life or death for me, to find a way to do this work, but to stay here and stay connected to my physical being.
Yeah. And isn't it funny just listening to that? Because again, my journey was very different. This wasn't something that I always experienced. So, maybe experienced, but don't recall experiencing when I was younger. And so for me, this was a very intentional process where I jumped in as a student to learn how to do this. And really, I mean, it started after Donna lost her child. And my partner and I had discussions about, well, if she can do it and she could see him and she could talk with him, how come we can't? Right. And so it was this journey to figure out how to do that. So for me, it was very intentional. And to be honest, I would have loved to float away. I wasn't so much worried about I need to stay here and ground myself. If it weren't for some of my teachers saying this is important, I probably would have never done that. The other piece, so we've got this grounding, whether it's imagining roots, imagining this gold ribbon, looking at your chakras and clearing all of your chakras while you're starting to do this. But I think the most important piece of whatever you're doing in the grounding is also setting your intention. So I am coming to sit down and connect with whoever, right? Whether it's a reading and I'm connecting for somebody else, or it's connecting with my own loved ones, my spirit guide, whatever that might be. And I'm going to do whatever I do to ground myself and set the intention to communicate with somebody in spirit, and then come right back to my daily life.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you brought that up, Diana, because when I do a reading with somebody, and I do readings professionally, when I do a reading with somebody, I always begin that time together before anything as I'm going to set an intention. Well, actually, first I hit record because I'm often reading on Zoom. And then I set an intention, and I set an intention with that individual present as well. And then we go off into that reading. So part of what you were alluding to, though, was at the end, right? Mm-hmm. You finish this up and your intention is to come back. Talk more about that, because that grounding at the conclusion is just as important.
Yeah. And kind of like you said, you could keep going, right? Keep going, and you need to stay here in this life. And so I will say some of the quick things with grounding, quick techniques, I guess. I remember several teachers talking about eat some red meat. But
Yeah.
if you're not a meat eater, that's not really an option, right? But drinking some water
Root
is
vegetables, though, in the eating.
Yes.
Root vegetables in the same.
Yes.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Water. Yep.
Yeah. And so I will just say, the counselor in me goes to kind of the sensory method that if you've ever dealt with anxiety or somebody who has anxiety, you might know the 5-4-3-2-1 method, but that's something that I use. So when I'm done, I do the little, let me look around my room and what are 5 things that I can see? What are 4 things I can feel, right? So I'm going to, there's the wall, there's the light, whatever. What do I feel? I feel my shirt on me. I can feel my hand touching my arm. I feel the ground under my feet, whatever. 3 things I hear. So I could hear the fan. I could hear my dog, snoring in the other room, whatever it is. 2 things I can smell. Okay, I can smell the tree through the open window and, my son just burnt some food in the other room. I can smell that, right? And then 1 thing I can taste. And this is where having my drink next to me is important. And I will be honest, I usually have iced tea next to me. And it's usually take a sip of my iced tea and I can taste it. And I'm very much back in the present.
I love that. I had a teacher once who also gave me a very simple grounding at the end, where what he would do is do a single and emphatic clap to kind of break the connection, break the field, and just that's it and it's done. And I feel that and I understand that as well. So I do that sometimes too. And just as we said at the beginning here, there are different practices that you can do. You have to find what works for you, what's right for you. These things may be worthwhile for you. The point is, it is essential that you do reground yourself here and now. And for those like me who have walked around open to everything and anything, my God, that is an exhausting way to live. You must do the work to protect yourself energetically. And this does not mean that you have to hide and isolate from the world, nor that you need to live in fear, as I did for years and years and years. There are ways to create those barriers and boundaries in your own energetic field and to be in a space of love and light and kindness without taking on other people's energetic stuff. It's also not a kindness to them to take on their stuff. Everybody has their own stuff to process and work through, and you can love and be kind and all of that without carrying that yourself. But I mean, yes. That's a whole other discussion, right? Yeah. But this regrounding will help you with that as well. So
yeah. So I just want to say thanks for listening to us again and joining us. I would love, I guess we would love to hear from you if there are questions you have, or if there's a topic that you would like us to talk about. We would love to, we always love to talk. So we would love to share our thoughts with you, and we would love to hear from you.
Please do share. And thank you so much for being a part of this journey with us. We love you. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today on Soul Sisteries.
And thanks for sharing stories with us. We'd love to hear your stories as well and keep the conversation going, absolutely keeping the hope going. So we're really hopeful that you'll connect with our guests as well who have great stories to share. Go ahead and follow them in various social media platforms or live venues, wherever it is that they're performing and sharing what they do.
We would love to have you follow us on all of our social media platforms, subscribe and rate, as that will help us get our message of hope out to others.
Thanks for listening to Soul Sisteries.